Welcome to the lair of the Batty Boffin.
Hi there, Batty fans. We're going to be doing a little bit of work on indices today. Indices are these little numbers up here, the powers. It's one index, two indices. It's just the plural, that's all it is. Today we're going to be looking at negative powers. Now, they often fox people a bit because we're familiar with things like squared and cubed. But what does the power of -1 or -2 mean? Well, we're going to find out today. Now, let's start off with some of the ones we know. 2 squared, I think everybody knows that one. That's a pretty easy one. That is 4. The reason it's 4 is because it is 2 times 2. Okay, that one's pretty easy. Let's look at the next one. 2 cubed. What that means is take a 2 and write it down 3 times. So it's a 2 times a 2 times a 2. And that is 8. Please, not 6. It's times, not add. What about the next one? Well, the next one would be take a 2 and write it down 4 times. So that's 2 times 2, that's 4, times 2, that's 8, times 2, 16. Okay, those ones are fairly easy. Let's continue the pattern. If that means take a 2 and write it down 4 times, then this is take a 2 and write it down once. So that one's just 2. Now, these are ones where we can just take the number and write it down that many times. At this point, it starts getting difficult to write something down -2 times. So what we're going to do now is just follow the pattern. So let's have a look along here. As we go up the numbers, we can see what's happening. We're doubling it, and then doubling it, and then doubling it. And that makes sense because we're timesing it by 2 an extra time. So that makes sense. So if we're doubling going that way, this way, we're halving it. So that means the next one must be 1, not 0. Okay? 2 to the power 0 is 1. Okay? If you want to know the reason for that, it's because it is the multiplicative identity. You could put a 1 times in front of any of these. So 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2 to the power 4. This one is 1 times 2 times 2 times 2. This one, 1 times 2 times 2, 1 times 2, and that is 1 multiplied by 2, no times. So we get a 1, okay? Kind of makes sense. Now, here's where it starts getting juicy. Let's continue the pattern, okay? Halve it, halve it, halve it, halve it. What's the next one? Well, it must be a half. You could say 0.5, but I'm going to write it as a fraction. You'll see why in a minute. Right, pause the video and fill in the next 2, please. So the next ones, if we continue halving it, should be a quarter. If you said 0.25, that's right, but it's easier to see the pattern if you write it as a fraction. And the next one, 1/8. Now, can you see the pattern on here? 2 to the power -3, 2 to the power 3, 2 to the power -2, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power -1, and 2 to the power 1. Yep, it's just 1 over. The posh name for that is reciprocal. Here it comes. Reciprocal. It just means 1 over something. And to write that down in kind of formal index notation, here's what it looks like. Right, what that means is any number, we've used 2, to a negative power, that could be -3, is equal to 1 over that number to the normal power. Okay, so 2 to the power -3 is equal to 1 over 2 to the power normal 3. Make sure you've got that copied down. We're going to use it on the next board, so we're just going to wipe that down. See you in a minute. Right, here we are. I've written it out again up here. Any number to a negative power is equal to 1 over that number to the normal power. So let's have a go through some of these here. I've got some of them written out. I'll work through one and then you can do the rest. So to start off with here, we've got 3 to the power negative 3. So that's any number to a negative power is equal to 1 over that number to the normal power. Okay, let's turn that into a normal kind of fraction. 1 over, so we want 3 to the power 3. So that means 1 times 3 times 3 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3, times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So that is 1 over 27. Okay, so you have a go doing the same kind of thing. Write it out as a 1 over something and then work out what that number is with the rest. Off you go now. Right, let's work through those together. First one down here, we've got 5. 5 to the power negative 2 is equal to 1 over 5 to the power normal 2. Okay? 5 to the power 2, 5 squared. That's easy, hope you know that one, 25. So that is equal to 1 over 25. And we can just leave the answer as a fraction there, that's fine. Okay, the next one's 2 to the power negative 4. 2 to the power negative 4 is equal to 1 over 2 to the power normal 4. 2 to the power 4. 2, 4, 8, 16. Okay with that? Powers of 2, by the way, are pretty common on here, so it's useful if you can know the powers of 2 up to about 2 to the power 10, it's handy. Right, 6 to the power negative 2. Anything to a negative power is equal to 1 over that thing to the normal power. And again, hopefully you know 6 squared. 1 over 36. Finally down here we've got 10 to the power. Again, powers of 10 are quite useful ones. 10 to the power negative 3 is equal to 1 over 10 to the power normal 3. 10 to the power normal 3, 10, 100, 1000. Okay with that? Good. Right, that's all there is to know about negative powers. Negative powers are fractions. That's a little thing. I've got a little mantra we have on here, one for fractional powers later on as well. Negative powers are fractions and fractional powers are roots. Don't worry about the second half of that, that's in a different video, but for the moment, negative powers are fractions. So whenever you see a negative power, it's the fraction version of the normal power. Okay? I'll see you in some other videos for a little bit more work on indices. Bye for now, Batty fans.
Mwahaha! Mwahaha! Mwahaha!